Hi you guys, welcome back. Sorry for my long absence. Just to get right into it, the last video I did, I had this idea of putting up the masculine traits versus the feminine traits, and I was doing that to kind of set up an idea that I have, to kind of set a precedent for an idea that I had. And so I have like 6 or 7 videos that I wanted to go directly in a row in order to kind of set this precedent up. And I didn't want to throw another video in between that had nothing to do with that idea. The video after the last video I had already recorded, but I only got through 80% of the editing, and things just happened in life, and I couldn't finish that last 20% or even 10% of the rest of the editing. I couldn't wrap it up, and a bunch of things happened, and so I thought I could get to it, and I thought I could get to it in order to not break up that chain of 6 or 7 videos that I had planned out in my head. And obviously I'm breaking the chain now, and I wasn't able to finish editing that last bit of the last video, so I'm not going to edit this video at all, and I'm going to just throw out a whole bunch of things to you, so hopefully this video won't be terribly long, but if it is, it is. And I'm just going to kind of regurgitate. As you guys know, the beginning of February I had that near accident, and I was really struggling to kind of keep my head above the water and not let it affect me and not let it really hit me down, even though it didn't happen. But all of the emotions and some darkness that I struggle with, just the past, I mean, just things that have happened come up in that situation, and it ruminates. And so I was trying to keep my head above water, and I was doing okay, but you know, the weather changes, and you know, you can't go outside, it's raining, it's windy, it's this, it's that, and if I have time to think, it's not good for me. So it is what it is, and my mind just started going downhill. And then I had something else happen that I don't really want to talk about. It didn't turn out to be anything big either, but it really touched my trauma, and I hate to keep bringing that up because I haven't told you guys that whole story, and I'm not going to. But and I mentioned in the first video that I did in January, you know, my Achilles heel, and I didn't really tell you exactly what that is because it's part of this trauma. But anytime something touches that, it's kind of amazing because I can handle a lot of things. I can handle living out here, and I can handle things, you know, at least in some respect. But my mind is the worst part of everything, and that's why people, you know, they want to make homelessness out to just be a financial thing, and it's mostly a mental thing. That's my opinion. It's mostly a mental thing, as is most things in life. So, but anytime, and I don't want you guys to feel sorry for me, this is just the reality. This is the reality. So anytime something touches that trauma or touches that Achilles heel, it doesn't matter how good I'm doing. It doesn't even matter if I'm keeping my head slightly above water after that near accident. when something touches that, I'm totally obliterated. I'm just instantly, I'm down for the count, and I am down in just the biggest hole. If anything just touches it, I crumble. No matter, you know, people, the hard thing is, you guys, that I know some of you have been saying, hey, we're worried about you and we care, and I really appreciate that, because I need to know that. And so on one hand, it's like, okay, maybe that's what I need. I need to know that people really want me to get out of this hole and really want me to be there. And on the other hand, then I feel like this pressure, because I know I can't be counted on. I know I'm going to disappoint people, and that's like the worst thing for me. So it's like this good and bad juggle, but that's just the fact. I can't be counted on. And I hate to say that, because I want to be counted on. I want to be a different person, but I don't want to hurt you, and I don't want to make, you know, I don't know what you want to do with that. But this isn't a joke, you know. This is real life. This is what's really going on for me. This is what's really happening. Homelessness is not an easy thing. Again, I don't want your pity, but it is a struggle, and it's mostly a struggle in my head. And that's the thing, like, people, sometimes I come off on, even on these videos, because I edit these videos so I can see myself. And I come off, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds really logical, what you're saying. That sounds really put together. I sound like I really know what I'm doing and what I'm talking about. And that's not to say that on some given topic I don't. That's not to say that what I'm saying isn't true or isn't logical or doesn't sound right. I have a mind. I can think. But it's like I have this reasonableness, and then I have this wide gap, and I don't understand the gap. I don't know what's in the gap. I don't know why I can't get over the gap. The gap consumes me. I don't understand it. And then I have this other part of myself. It's like I'm schizophrenic, which I'm not, but that's how it feels. Like I have this other side of myself, and you could say that's manic depressive, that's bipolar. I don't know. I don't really concede to a lot of labels per se. But whatever. If I'm that label, I'm that label. Whatever. It is what it is. I don't care about that. I feel like I'm standing in an anthill. I don't know. The point is that regardless, I sound like this over here, and this is true. I'm not putting it on for the camera. This is reality. I can sound logical. I can think through things. I was born that way. I was in many ways I was blessed with discernment, and I was blessed with, you know, being able to judge things properly and logically analyze things, and yet I have this other side of me, and it consumes me, and it is what it is. So it's a struggle, and it's more of a struggle that for me than it is for you guys. So I feel sorry, and I feel bad for you guys if I disappoint you, but man, I disappoint myself 1,000 times worse than I can ever do for anybody else. So anything, something, anyways, something touched that Achilles heel, something touched that trauma, and I went down for the count, even though I was trying to keep myself above water. And when I go down, unfortunately, I'm an all or nothing person. Unfortunately, that's part of my personality too, and I've just always been that way. Like you saw in January, I go hard, and that really did kill me. I mean, that was a lot. Doing a video a day, that was a lot. And Man, I feel like I'm in an anthill. What the heck? All that editing, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video, so I don't want to get sidetracked, but that was a lot. That was a lot. And at the beginning of February, I was doing okay, and I thought I could maintain a different pace, but a lesser pace. But even that, I just petered. And it is what it is. There's no guarantees, and this is YouTube, and you know, some people only post one video a month, so I need to stop making promises, because, or stop saying, oh, this is how it's going to be, or this is how it's going to look, because then I feel really bad when I can't keep it up. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm an all or nothing person, and where was I going with that? Sorry, I feel like I'm being eaten alive. Yeah, when something touched my Achilles heel, my trauma, I don't just go down just a few feet deep under the water. I sink to the bottom of the ocean. Like, that's how it is for me. And I stay there for a long time sometimes. So, I'm really trying. But this is something that I want you guys to know, and this may not interest a good portion of you, but this is part of my story, and I do want this to be here. You know, I noticed that in January, you know, I was basically answering people's questions from 2 years previous when I started the channel. I was like holding on to these questions and holding on to like people wanting to know things, or you know, talking about things in my comment section from 2 years ago, and I wanted to answer those, but because of what happened, here I am 2 years later. And so in January, I'm answering all those questions, even though I'm not seeing half of you guys. Well, I'm definitely not seeing most people from 2 years ago. I know some of you are here from 2 years ago. I appreciate that, but I'm not seeing a lot of people here from 2 years ago. Plus, you guys aren't asking those same sort of questions. So why I was hung up on it, I don't know. But I thought they were valid questions, and they do add to the story and give you guys more information. So I tried to answer those, and where was I going with that? I don't even know what I was saying. I don't know what I was saying. I don't know what I was saying. Oh, okay. So, wait a minute. Come to me. Oh, so, you know, but people gave me a lot of advice as to how, you know, they asked questions, but they also gave me a lot of advice, how you can get out of this situation, what you need to do, and this and that and the other. And even at the beginning of this year, people gave me a bit of advice too. And again, I definitely don't want to disparage people from adding that advice and putting it out there. I really, really do appreciate it. I've said that till I'm blue in the face, so please believe me when I say I appreciate it. But something I have learned that I do think is important, 2 things I've learned about making goals. Number one, even though this sounds antithetical and, you know, the reality is I appreciate the advice, and some things do hit me and make a difference and I adjust, but I can't even take it. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't say it, because there might be something that hits me, but something I've learned is it doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks you should do. It really is like basically the first few videos that I did at the beginning of this year, 2024. Even though some of you have warned me about Jordan Peterson or think he's too harsh or whatever, and what I put on here, he was speaking harshly, but that's what I need. And you know, and when he was saying, you know, if all you can do is clean out your sock drawer, if all you can do is just get up on your elbows and not even get out of the bed, if all you can do is just get up on your elbows, then do that, you know? And so that's number one. That's what I've learned. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't even matter what I think, because I'm the worst person of all of this. I'm the one that's in my head thinking, you know, the person I used to be. Well, you should be able to do better than this. You should be able to do this. You should be able to do that. You should be this much further ahead. You should be. I have this vision of what I think I should be able to do, and it's just not reality. It's not reality. It's not reasonable at all. Like I told you guys, I'm walking in this dark, pitch black tunnel. And it's like I have this lighter, and it gives me a flicker of light, and that's it. And it's enough to make one step, and that's all I get. And I can see this tiny light at the end of this tunnel, so I know I need to go that direction, let's say, but that's not enough to light my way at all. And then I get this flicker of a light, like a lighter, just to make one step ahead. And that's all I get. That's all I get. And so that's all I can do. So it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks I should do, or even what the person I used to be, thinks I should do. This is where I am. And so whatever I can do that's right in front of me is what I have to do. So that's number one. And the second lesson I've learned, you know, because like I said, something happened that touched my Achilles heel and just took me back to that trauma, and I'm struggling. And I told you guys too that I have these things that I have to get done this year. I cannot put them off any longer. I have to get them done this spring. And I told you guys there's going to be times where I don't do a video, sometimes for a few weeks. And so I did warn you about that, okay? Now, part of the reason I didn't do a video this last bit was not because I was getting all that stuff done. Part of it was, but the other part of it was I hit a hole. But I am also working on this other stuff, and I have to, and that's really gonna affect me the next few months. So, I'm so itchy. So, anyway, what was I saying? So number two that I learned. Oh, okay. So I'm going through this depression, and I'm in a hole, and I'm trying to get out of it, and I'm thinking, okay, look, there's got to be something else, because you know, just seeing that flicker of light and just making that one step it's like you have to do that. If that's all you can do, that's all you can do. But there's got to be something else, because it's not enough. It's not enough to get me out, you know? And obviously when you have goals, you have these big grand designs, and I can do that. I make these big goals. I make a huge elephant and think I can swallow the whole thing all at once. So, but I'm like, okay, look, big goal thing isn't going to happen right now, and I can't set my heart on that. That's not going to be good. That's going to crush me, because it's going to make me feel completely defeated. But I need something to look forward to. So, you know, I traveled around the world, like I told you guys, and at the very end of my travels, there was somebody special in my life that came out and visited me, and we traveled a few countries together. this was her first time coming overseas. So bless her heart, because coming overseas and traveling with me the way I travel was a challenge. And it was more of a challenge than I recognized. And so bless her heart, because she was such a champ. But she started getting depressed, and she bought a one-way ticket. And she was having a hard time, and we had some hard experiences while we traveled too. But to me, like, that's part of it. And as you know, you can tell I don't take the easiest route, so that was hard for her in a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot I could tell you about that. She was a champ, that's what needs to be said. But the point is that she had an open-ended ticket. She only bought a one-way ticket, so it wasn't set in stone when she was going home, and she was struggling. She was having a hard time. She was going through a lot of culture shock. She didn't realize that, but I know the signs of culture shock. And so on top of traveling my style, my way, and with me, the culture shock was really doing her in. And we did have one particular challenge that she was struggling with. And so, long story short, when she finally bought her ticket home, even though it was still a few weeks off, it changed her. You know, it didn't change her per se, but it gave her something to look forward to. And now she knew. And so she could put some things in perspective. And then she had also been out there for a while, so she was getting her bearings more. And, you know, when we had gone to a different country, she didn't really have a good experience in the country we were in at the time. And so a lot of things happened all at once, but I saw the difference when she finally scheduled her flight home, even though it was a few weeks off. And so I was like, you know, that thought came into my head as I'm struggling, and I was like, you know, instead of having all these grand goals, which I'm still working on and I'm still putting on paper and trying to think about how this is going to look in the end, I need a vision, which is different than, let's say, a goal. I need something to, it's almost like scheduling a trip to a foreign country or to Disneyland or something that you really like. You know, you're going to go on a cruise or whatever, and it's like, I'm saving up all this money. I have to do X, Y, and Z in order to pay for this cruise and be ready for the cruise. We've got to do this and this and this and this in our life in order to get to that point. But the thing that motivates you, the thing that's exciting, is the vision of the cruise, you know, the idea of the cruise. That's what's motivating you, right? So, I was like, I need that vision. What, you know, where could I see this, where could I see myself in a year or two? What would I like? What would I like it to look like? Not exactly all of the goals accomplished. I am working on those, but they are really lofty, and I don't know that I'm definitely not going to get there in a year or two, but they are lofty. And so the 7 paths to peace and where I see it going, where I hope it would go. But that's not that's like the work. That's the work that's gonna have to get me there. And so I need the excitement. I need the, oh, this is what you're working towards. This is what it's going to look like. Again, the idea of the cruise, that's the enjoyment, that's the fun. You're going through all the drudgery of saving up the money and making all the plans to get there. But what's the fun? What's the vision? What will, in my case, the 7 paths to peace, what is the peace? What is it that I can visualize? So, I'm going to end this video on this thought, but because this will give you guys a little more reality of what I've been going through too, but I'm not going to go really into this last situation. The sun has already gone down, and I feel like I'm standing in an anthill or something. I have sweats on, so it can't be mosquitoes that are biting me, but anyway, so I kind of got this idea in my head, and I was like, you know what, that would work. You know, that would work. You know, the last few weeks, part of the thing is that, you know, I'm depressed and I'm watching a lot of YouTube and I'm seeing a lot of stuff, and I hope I can get this out without losing my train of thought. I know I sound whiny or whatever, it just is what it is, and I don't want you guys to feel sorry for me in this sense, but I do sit here and think, why is anybody even listening to me? To be honest with you, it's like I watch all these YouTube videos of other people, and sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, I could definitely do YouTube. That person's doing YouTube. But other videos, I'm like, dang, I just can't do videos like that. I just can't. And you guys, I can't keep up with this editing. I can't. I cannot edit for 15 to 20 hours for one video. I cannot do it. So you guys that wanted 15 or 20-minute videos, I'm really, really, really sorry. But from here on out, really, the next few videos, because I started that set of 7 videos, I do want to complete that in some way. But after that and in between that, I can't. I can't edit for 15 to 20 hours. I can't with all the other stuff that I have to do. And editing is hard for me, like, for a lot of reasons, but also emotionally. And then I sit there with my perfectionism and I want to go back, and then I'm like, oh, this isn't even good enough, and yada yada yada. I just, and I have to get a job on top of these other things that I have to do. I'm running out of money. I can't edit for 15 to 20 hours. So if you guys want me to do YouTube at all, I'm very sorry, but my videos are just going to be junky and they're going to be long, and that's the best I can do right now. So anyways, I've been watching these other YouTubers and the last few weeks, and I'm thinking, why does anybody even listen to me? Why? On one hand, I feel like I have something to say, but on the other hand, it's like I don't really know why anybody would listen to me, to be honest. And on top of that, I also, you know, I've a lot of things that have come up on my feed have been like about South Africa or about Israel or about, you know, Palestine, about just a whole variety of things, like our country and our constitution and our economy, and, you know, and prophecies that are being fulfilled. And I just think, wow, this is not the world that I lived in 20 years ago. So what would have been valuable maybe for me to talk about 20 years ago, I don't feel is really valuable right now. I really feel like we had the 7 years of plenty, and we are really about to go through the 7 years of famine. And in a multitude of ways, and not just 7 years, but in a multitude of ways, not just famine as far as food, but it's definitely a famine of truth, and it's a famine of morals, and it's a famine of safety and security and everything. And so I want to comment on YouTube videos. I want to do some reaction stuff, and I do want to talk about some things, but it can't be entirely shallow, and it's got to make a real difference, because maybe not every single video, obviously, but I just don't think you know, we can sit here and talk about Meghan Markle and these people, but you know, and what's happened to the Prince William's wife, whatever, you know, like all these things, but it doesn't, that's not what's going on. In my opinion, it's not what's going on. It's not the most important thing. You know, one of you guys on here is from South Africa, and I just feel so bad for everything that's happening in so many countries around the world. And so my little voice, what does that mean, you know? I don't know, because I do believe people's voices matter, but we are in for some real stuff. So that's been another thing that's like, what does this even matter? And maybe I'm no good at this because I can't do all this editing. I can't figure everything out right now. I just can't, and I'm just not up to par. And maybe I'm just a consumer and I'm not a producer, and I don't know. So anyways, I came up with this vision, and I'm like, well, this vision came to me in that sense, but it's a vision that I don't like. It's a vision that I don't, it's not that I don't like it, but I don't like it. Some friends have said it to me a long time ago, and I was like, no, I don't like that. But it came to me in a different light recently, and I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe that could work. Maybe that would help me. You know, and I was like, you know what? That does feel good. And if I could make that part of the channel, that would be a valuable voice to add. So I thought, okay, maybe if that's something, I do think that would be a valuable voice to add, because with everything that's going on in our world, again, I don't think just talking about all these vain things is going to be the best thing. To me, regardless of what anybody else thinks, to me, the most value really is going to be preaching the Word of God. I mean, that's just it. So, because that's the only thing that's going to keep us all above water from what's coming, and not just what's coming, but what's happening. Like, come on. So, and this isn't doomsdayer stuff. This is reality. I mean, we really are in like 2 wars right now. Economies all over the world are truly collapsing. They really are taking away our energy rights and all sorts of other rights. A lot of things really are happening. They really are happening right in front of your face. So, and they've been prophesied in the Bible for thousands of years. So, you know, but even if you're not religious and you want to take that Bible comment out of it, fine, but it's happening. So if this is valuable, I need to have a vision of what would be most valuable. So I came up with this idea and this vision, but the reason I told my friends no a long time ago is because of a lot of reasons, and this video is already too long, and the sun, as you can see, has gone down. So I'm just gonna say that there's reasons I didn't want to do it, and I thought, okay, well, if it looked a little differently and if it was this way or that way, maybe I could. So it started giving me some hope, and I was like, okay, that would be valuable, and that's something I could add to the channel, and I do think that would be valuable, definitely be valuable. So, you know, but one of the reasons I didn't want to do it was a very specific reason. And right after this, I started having this sort of idea. I say vision, but I'm not even saying that per se in the religious sense. In some way, perhaps I am, but I'm saying that in the way of goals. You know, I have this idea, and it's sinking down into my heart, and I'm thinking, okay, that could work. But one of the reasons why I don't want to do it is a very specific reason, and I thought, well, I could work around it this way and that way. And then that very reason hit me right between the eyes not a few days later. And in the most abrupt and rude and hurtful way. I don't have time to tell you about it right now, so I'll probably mention it on another video. But an individual who, oh yeah, I'm not a perfect person, so you know, all these stories are from my perspective. There's always another side of the story. I'm not perfect, but you know, somebody who could have really been Christian and who is Christian, and that's why it hurt me so much, didn't act very Christian towards me. And that's the thing that's hard. I have a testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and nothing will stand between that, because that is between me and God, nobody else. But sometimes people who should be Christian don't act Christian, and it's hard. And it's happened to me a lot of times, especially in the last 15 to 20 years. That's why I feel like maybe this is just a Job experience, because I've literally lost my health. I've lost all of my money. I've lost all of my comfort. I've lost all of my friends. I've lost everything. I've lost what I believe my reputation was. I've lost everything. So, and again, I'm not perfect, but boy, the punishment far outweighs the crime. Far outweighs the crime. Far outweighs the crime. If there was even a crime. So, you know, I come up with this idea, and then this person who is a Christian and should have been Christian to me, just completely obliterates me. And really hurt me. And I know the church is for the sick, okay? The church is the hospital. I know all of that, and that's the thing. And we tell people that are not members of the church that we're not meant to all be perfect, and I know that. And I'm not perfect. And I know they have their side of the story, but I was clearly in a bad situation. I was clearly having a hard time, and this person could see it, and they just dug the knife in. In a way that they didn't need to. I understand having boundaries. I understand that they see things from their perspective, and they could have communicated that with me. It just hurts. And so then, you know, that was part of this vision that I had, you know? And then it's like, no, I don't want to be around people that are even a little bit like that, you know? And so I go down further into a hole, and then here I am a whole month without videos. And I'm very sorry, but again, we all have to take responsibility for ourselves and our own life and our own feelings and everything. And my life is terrible in a lot of ways, and I can only do what I can do. And I'm sorry I'll disappoint you, but you've got to also know that you're on the other side of this screen, and I can't be something I'm not. So thanks for being here. Talk to you later.